Week 6 of Season of the Witch. Eris Morn indulges in her Hive tithes as Immaru plans to dip out if things go south. Next week seems to be the last in the seasonal quest, and as Eris Morn prepares for the final ritual, things seem out of place and strange. Savathun also speaks to her ghost about her true plan with Eris, and it's terrifying. Let's take a look. We begin this week by speaking to Eris at the Hollow Projector, who is beginning to prepare a ritual. She feels a moment of peace before this final battle. Over this season, Eris has been collecting these tithes as we know, and she's kind of going crazy over it. Her focus is and has always been on eliminating the Hive sisters, Xivu and Savathun.
It is good to see you. I was taking a moment to prepare for the ritual. There is suffering in anticipation, but strength in its acknowledgement. And, if I am to be honest, something more. Guardian, a moment of peace awaits in the midst of the frenzy, a moment born of ugliness and violence truly earned. It is justice. So I will step again into the ritual space and be consumed by the profane chitin. When you tithe to me, I will feel the rank blood of your offerings flow down my throat. And as the vile power fills me to bursting, my thoughts will be only of the Hive sisters, Savathun, Xivu, Arath, of my plans for them. It is then I find that sweet moment, and deep beneath my hideous mask, I smile.
After defeating Hive Lightbearers and getting attunement kills shooting the symbols in lost sectors, we return to the Helm. Again, this week, nothing new in terms of gameplay, we just do a couple of things in the Throne World and then return to the Helm to listen to the story. Things kind of get spicy though. Eris and Immaru speak in the Athenaeum. Eris Morn explains how she wants this vengeance when Immaru asks her what her true purpose is. Immaru, both in this interaction and the next projector, speaks about his current role. He has of course been leading the Lucent Brood after Savathun's death, and he himself doesn't want to bring her back. He feels more safe this way.
I gotta admit, kid, you're stacking some legit tithes. You got a real flair for brutality.
Sword logic is an ironically blunt tool, easily wielded by even the dullest mind. Though I must admit, to be guided by such simple-mindedness is liberating.
And what's your grand purpose? Peace and unity?
Vengeance. Against the Hive.
Hey, I don't blame you. Being Savathun's ghost is no treat. I'm not looking forward to bringing her back.
Not least because her absence made you de facto general of the Lucent Brood.
Leadership suits me.
For now, your time of self-glorification has nearly passed.
That's rich coming from a wannabe Hive god. Even with the Guardian's help, you're still coming up short. You're not even close to Xivu's strength yet. And you look like a screep ready to pop.
Fear not, you osseous little toad. The path to victory lies close at hand. Even if you lack the eyes to see it.
Ikora pleads with Eris not to get lost in whatever happens next. We know these two have had a close relationship forever, it would seem. Ikora's hidden Eris Morn helping out with the Hive since the beginning, and Eris lays this on the line. She explains that all this time she's stood back. Now when it's time to end this once and for all, she wants Ikora to trust her. Trust crazy Hive god Eris who's been collecting these tithes.
This has to stop. Throwing yourself into danger is not going to solve our problem. We have to step back and find another way.
You would put me in a library, and I would be so glad of it that I would never set foot outside its walls. But only I can stop Xivu Arath, and nothing is won by my complacency.
Eris, this is too much for you.
I am not so frail, Ikora.
I have never thought that.
Then do not treat me as such. You know that I am capable. And now you know of what. Ikora, I have always had your trust. And you have never needed my forgiveness. Now please, I ask for your support.
Do you know what I see? A friend who takes risks because she doesn't want anyone else to. A friend who is too afraid to look away from disaster and thinks destroying herself is the only way to stop it.
I held back when Savathun took the light. I allowed others to go in my stead and take the revenge I am owed. But I made a promise to myself. I would be her ruin. We both value action in times of loss. Let me act. Let me be who I am.
I don't want you lost to this.
Then help me finish it.
But even as Immaru is about to state, Eris is nowhere near the power of Xivu Arath. So what's going to happen? Will she fail and the Guardian will need to go in there, pull her out safely so she's not stuck as Hive forever? Immaru says this whole plan was a failure this entire season. So he intends to dip out if things go south next week, which seems to be the last in the quest. He doesn't care if Savathun comes back or not, he has his own plans.
I'm gonna give it to you straight, Sunbeam. I've run the numbers, and your gal Eris doesn't have what it takes. She talks a good game, but she's nowhere near strong enough to deal with Xivu. This whole idea was a long shot from the start, and you Guardians came up short. So listen, I don't plan on getting crushed by Xivu, or you, or anybody else for that matter. I'll stick around, but if things get hairy, I'm out of here. Savathun can stay dead for all I care. Doesn't make any difference to me. Maybe I can do the Finch thing. Be a free agent. Ah, don't look so surprised. Sure, your ghost would never abandon you, but there's one important difference between him and me. He's an idiot. Sorry to rain on your parade, but there's no way this ends in anything but a bloodbath. And I don't plan on getting caught in it.
In the new lore entry Contingency Plans, Immaru listens to Savathun's recordings about her plan. How it would go different if different characters took up this tithing process, like Mara, Ikora, and then eventually Eris. It gets scary at the end. We mentioned Eris doesn't have enough power to defeat Xivu, so if she's trying to acquire more, Savathun implies she's going to need to kill our allies. In the end, they'll accept your offer. The witness won't leave them any choice. Savathun's voice echoed throughout the empty ritual chamber. Immaru floated in the middle of a vast space, listening intently to his boss's pre-recorded instructions. With the war mind gone and the traveler incapacitated, they'll only have one option left, Savathun's recorded voice cooed. They'll have to do things our way, and you'll be there to make sure they do. Immaru grumbled. The boss was betting a lot on the Vanguard, more than she'd bet on her own brood. Pride stung the edges of the first ghost's ego. He'd been an exemplary leader in Savathun's absence. If anything, he should be the one overseeing the war effort against Xivu Arath. Then again, he placated himself. Maybe it wasn't a matter of competency. Maybe the Witch Queen just saw the Vanguard as more expendable than her own brood. Hell, he chuckled to himself. Maybe this was all just a long con to lead the Vanguard into Xivu's waiting jaws. Only the boss knew for sure. Immaru initiated playback on another recording, preparing to enact whichever of the hundreds of Savathun's contingencies came to pass. If Ikora Rey is the one to accept my bargain, your job will be much easier, the recording began. That one has a deep well of bloodthirst. She ruled the Crucible for many years, as you recall. Her eagerness to be reacquainted with death will lead her back to her convoluted ideals of Thanatonautics. If anything, she'll get too powerful too quickly, the absent Savathun mused. If that happens, just arrange for her to accidentally kill one of her own. Glint, perhaps. That should slow her down for a while. Don't worry about putting her off for good though. Once she feels the power of the sword, she'll never stop. Immaru was filled with admiration and suspicion. He wondered if there was a trove of Savathun's contingencies somewhere that involved his sacrifice. Surely not, he was too important for that. He initiated playback of another recording. If the Awoken Queen somehow discovers the pattern before I'm resurrected, the Witch Queen began, the Guardians may attempt to take the Heirloom by force. It won't be Mara's idea, of course, but my dear Osiris in his cleverness might talk them into a poor decision. In that case, it won't be worth fighting them off. That would only play to Xivu's advantage. Instead, deliver the Heirloom to the Cabal Empress, Savathun continued. She has more reason than any to use it against my sister, and a protracted war of attrition will be inevitable. While those two rip each other apart, you can approach the Vanguard with a slightly modified deal. Immaru cut off the recording. He hoped it wouldn't come to that. The Vanguard had already guaranteed his safety, but the Cabal had made no such assurances. Showing up on their doorstep with the Heirloom was the last thing he wanted. He initiated another recording. If all goes to my original plan, Eris will reach a crossroads. A hint of concern snuck into Savathun's voice. At some point, she'll glimpse a path to overcome my sister without resurrecting me at all. But there's only one way to gather so many tithes in so short of a time. She would have to put the Vanguard to the sword, followed swiftly by the Elixni and Cabal. The Hive she would spare, I think, for her convenience. If that happens, Savathun concluded, there are no more contingencies, no more fallbacks. The Hive would have a new queen, and you a new leader. Wouldn't that be interesting? So maybe this is why Immaru was scared. He thinks this final contingency with Eris Morn is coming true, and if that's the case, Savathun suggests that she would need more power and would have to kill the Vanguard, Elixni, and Cabal. I'm not sure that would happen in a final week. Maybe she tries to do this but we pull her back, but it's still kind of crazy to think about. They also talk about an heirloom and figuring out this pattern. Maybe whatever the pattern is how to enter the portal, but I'm not sure what the heirloom is. Leave your theories in the comments below. Anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. If you'd like to see some more Destiny lore and mysteries just like it, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.